I've been having a lot of fun dissecting Secret of the Mimic and theorizing with people, so I figured I'd put all my thoughts into one place. I hate sitting through people recapping the game and book stories before all the actual fun stuff, especially when the recap is 90% of the video. So real fast. We play as Arnold, he's very tired, he's sent to pick up the schematics for the Mimic. The Mimic is an endo built by Edwin that fits any suit and adopts characters' personalities, blah blah blah, Mimic's killing people because they learn violence. If you want to know more, then go play the game and watch a Let's Play, because honestly, why are you even here? Here's my timeline of events along with evidence. Pre-1979. Edwin's father runs Murray's Costume Manor, or MCM for short. At some point in time, he tells Edwin not to trust them.
Edwin, never forget, don't trust them. Dad was right.
I believe he was either talking about Fazbear Entertainment directly or the Aftons, possibly also his employees. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza didn't formally exist until 1983, as we know from the Faz tokens and Help Wanted 1. But Fredbear's Family Diner did already exist as early as 1979, as we can see from the pizza boxes scattered around the MCM. We also see a poster of the original Spring Bunny, so we know that Fredbear's Family Diner was likely one of MCM's clients directly, likely working under the company name of Fazbear Entertainment. I would say it's a safe assumption that the original Bonnie and Freddy costumes were supplied by the MCM. It is very hot and I need to have my fan off while I record this. Also, it's 1 AM, which is why I'm being more soft with my voice. Around 1974, Edwin meets Fiona, an employee at the MCM. She used to be a puppeteer, which Edwin knows her for, but she recently started working at the MCM. Edwin wants to use her voice for a project he's working on. We are told directly that the microphone system Edwin uses is separate from the tape players themselves. We can also see the tape inside the tape slot, so we know for certain that the conversations we hear on these players are not guaranteed to have been recorded at that location when we find them.
So, you want to record me with that? What is it?
It's a new type of audio cassette recorder.
I've never seen one like that before.
I made it. It's part of this new system I'm working on. Just speak into the microphone and it'll be sent to me like a work memo. The message will be recorded on a tape drive so that I can listen to it when I get back to my desk on the other side of the building.
Fiona asks what it's called, and Edwin says he'd describe it in What Is Helpful, blah blah blah, we know this. That's probably the moment Fiona adopts the character Mrs. Helpful for the project. Edwin then also creates the character Mr. Helpful so he can also leave logs, though he may only do this after the two later marry. And the two have a child named David. Edwin's father dies and he inherits the company. Fiona pushes him to take it in his own direction, and Edwin decides to use the company to sell his inventions. His first is the vacuum bot, which is extremely successful. He then makes a plethora of other inventions, but they get a lot of complaints from customers that they're malfunctioning, causing bodily harm, and even killing someone's dog. Fiona urges Edwin to focus on one project at a time.
Ed, you're not going to want to hear this, but there's a lot of grumbling on the work floor. You have a lot of new ideas and new projects coming in, but the staff can't keep up with all your changes. Your creative energy is amazing, and I love you for it. But I think you need to step back a little and focus on one project at a time.
We see David's birthdays as he grows up, and how Edwin started out as a shitty father and only became worse with time. His first birthday, Edwin scares the crap out of him with a pirate whiff toy. Second birthday, he doesn't even show up and instead works. Sometime during this year, David's second birthday year, Fiona goes to help the Fall Fest crew with installation.
Just for a few days until the installation is finished.
We know from previous games that there was a fire at Fall Fest with great importance to the second saga story, and we know that it started in a barn before spreading to the rest of Fall Fest. In the Help Wanted Halloween DLC, you open your prizes at a barn in Fall Fest. If you hit all 3 posters with a dart, you get the only It's Me in the game. And now for a huge side tangent about the Red Clown. Since Pizza Sim, we've been seeing pictures of this red clown. It's got red hair sticking out, the top of its head is flat as if it used to be wearing a hat, black tears down its cheeks, why do I keep turning the fan on when I'm recording stuff? Big yellow eyes, black tears down its face, big white square teeth, big red lips, neck ruff, wrist ruffs, pale white skin, etc, etc. Very notably, this picture is connected to the only It's Me appearance in Help Wanted 1. It also has very big prominent ears that are in every single picture. Don't know if that's a thing, but it's something to watch out for. A lot of the clown's features match Jackie, though not all, but especially after the Jackie chase. Red hair sticking out, wide yellow eyes, black tears, only after the chase. Big square teeth, big red lips. She doesn't wear a neck ruff, but she does wear a tutu with ruffs near the neck and a full circle ruff around the waist. Both also have wrist ruffs. Extra side tangent. The button on Jackie is the same as on Ennard, who also looks like the Mimic, and I don't know what this means, but that's a thing that exists. Until now, I've always assumed that the first appearance of the Red Clown was just in reference to Baby, especially considering the Afton family poster. We then saw in Help Wanted 2 the same barn in the Carousel game, which lights on fire. Notably, the fire starts in the barn and then goes to Fall Fest. Point being, they were trying to tell us that that Red Clown was connected to Fiona's death in Fall Fest, and the fire. Jackie is the mascot of Secret of the Mimic. Not the Mimic itself, not any of the other characters who have way more screen time, but Jackie. She was even what was used in Help Wanted 2 as part of the teaser. To quote Help Wanted 2, what makes her so special? Why does she have so many clear connections to the puppet, arguably the most important character in the first saga? And with all that out of the way, I present my conclusion. I believe that Jackie was the cause of the fire that killed Fiona. We know for a fact that Edwin had sent some of his creations there, and that Fiona had gone there to help set things up because she had a bad feeling about it. She likely knew that Edwin's stuff would likely malfunction in some way, and we know she died in the fire that started in the barn. The barn is where we find the Red Clown posters labelled "It's Me," and to top it all off, the prizes in Help Wanted DLC are obtained in the barn in a Jack-in-the-Box present. Ladies, gentlemen, and etc., I believe that Jackie malfunctioning is what killed Fiona. But then things get crazier. This next section is taken from Tall Acid on the Game Theory subreddit. I claim none of this, but it's so perfect I have to include it.
Something I don't see anyone discussing but I feel confident about. Edwin was working on something big before Fall Fest. Fiona died in the fire at Fall Fest, and at David's third birthday there was no robot companion, but it's there the very next year. I think the mimic endo that became M1 is what he was working on during that time frame. Stay with me here. We're also introduced to Dolly and the recycling center, where they specifically call out Midway Games. Costumes and precious metals that get melted down and turned into new costumes and technologies. Why would they mention this? Here's my theory. Fiona died in a fire at Fall Fest, which was full of costumes and Midway Games leased from MCM. Fire, as we know, purifies and releases the agony of people who die in extreme circumstances, but also, it leaves behind a certain precious metal. Those costumes and games were likely recycled shortly after, in the time frame where Edwin was working on the new technology for the M1 endo, which brings us to the magic word, remnant. Edwin doesn't know why M1 worked because it was entirely an accident. He built M1 using recycled materials that were infused with his late wife's remnant. Why didn't it work with David? Because there was no remnant. David dies near his playground, presumably in a heavy machinery accident, so no remnant is collected. M2 mimicked David, but that's all it was. An imitation. But M1 is Fiona.
Round of applause for that, because wow, that is something I 100% agree with. Hell yeah, Tall Acid. Back to the birthdays. Third birthday, no Fiona anymore, no mimic yet. Edwin tells David that his mother is dead, possibly for the first time.
Wait for Mama. Mama loves presents.
David, your mother's dead.
Damn dude. And says she'll be watching over them in spirit. Then tells him to open his presents and then leaves LMAO Edwin, you suck dude.
I gotta get back to work.
After that, Edwin laments that he doesn't want to raise a kid on his own and that his life is ruined.
How am I supposed to raise a kid on my own?
This dude sucks.
My life is ruined.
Sometime after, he builds the mimic, and I agree with Tall Acid that he unknowingly used Fiona's remnant in its creation. In the workshop, he hears something strange recorded on the radio, and by setting the frequency to 4625, he's able to hear Fiona's voice. The way the whole sequence plays out, I'm convinced that Edwin accidentally created a spirit box, a way to talk to ghosts. If you played Phasmophobia, you'll get the gist. Otherwise, look it up. M1 begins to act like Fiona. Personally, I believe that M1 is fully possessed by Fiona. Edwin certainly wants to believe so at first, because he straight up lives with the thing and lets it raise his son. By David's 4th birthday, M1 has completely adopted Fiona's personality, whether it's really her or not.
Happy birthday, sweetie.
Okay, I need you to take over now and make dinner.
Make me a sandwich, robot wife. Edwin Murray, 1978. On his 5th birthday, Edwin forces all of his employees to attend a birthday party for David. He then sends M1 to fetch David to bring him to the surprise party, but David is dead. Even with his playground so close to the factory, Edwin didn't watch him. This seems to be on December 6th, going by the mail logs. Side note, this guy is 100% sleeping with a robot at this point. There's no way he went this far without crossing that line. M1 tells Edwin to just build a new mimic for David to become, but no matter what Edwin tries, he just can't get it to work. I believe, as Tall Acid's theory goes, that because he wasn't using any David remnant in the design of the bot, David's soul couldn't graft to it. The soul itself is around, represented by Tiger Rock, his favourite plush. In the meantime, M1 is downloaded into an external device called F10-N4. It's really clever, you guys. It's called... It spells Fiona in Elite Speak. It's so clever. I want to see F10-N3. It takes a lot of power, and Edwin can be found telling his workers to pay no mind to the power fluctuations behind the curtain. Meanwhile, Edwin's starting to go insane because people are jumping ship and taking schematics and patents along with them.
Your jackets, purses, and coffee mugs, and anything else belongs to me. Maybe I'll go find someone to sell your stuff to. How does that feel?
Henry, who he seems close to, though let's be honest, Edwin just could be one of those bosses, sells the company to Bunny Bill directly. The other Bunny Bill. While M2 isn't possessed, it tries to do what it's made for and acts like David. Edwin hates this and smashes his legs, teaching him to violence. On the business side of things, Afton is playing hardball and doing his best to fuel the death of Edwin's business. Before Fiona died, he had made an order for a new pizzeria, the aforementioned new franchise, which I believe to be the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, which he had promised Henry ownership of if he kept stealing shit. But he kept making changes to the order, cause as much damage as possible to the MCM as possible. Judging by the following tapes, I imagine Afton and Henry were only friendly when Edwin's father was in charge. Because, let's face it, Edwin is such a nepo baby.
Oh, Fiona was right. They don't think of me as a friend anymore.
Despite Fiona's begging, Edwin refuses to work on M2.
Edwin, you can't put it off any longer. You need to try again. Build another.
This is also when he stops believing she's really her.
Oh, who am I kidding? You're not really you. It's so stupid. I should have been having fun with him, playing games and teaching him how to make things. But I didn't. You You! I let a machine raise my kid. You're not real. What was I thinking?
Funny enough, by working on M2 as much as he did and trying to make M2 into David, Edwin taught M2 how to make things. M2 builds himself some new legs and then causes an explosion in the house when trying a new power test.
Your power test was a failure.
Possibly trying to make power more stable for Fiona, but it's uncertain. Regardless, the explosion annihilates Edwin's legs and Edwin faces some karmic retribution for his terrible fatherhood.
I can't move. I can't feel my legs. You know, speaking of legs, what do you think? I just finished mine. I'm sorry, M2. I lost my temper. I'm going to fix you.
Liar, liar, legs on fire.
Please, call for help. I can't right now, buddy. We can do something fun tomorrow. I promise.
Edwin seemingly perishes and isn't heard from for at least 5 weeks. Fazbear, more specifically Afton, sees everything and starts sending in teams to claim the schematics for the Mimic. M2 is less than stable, and we get the origin of the in-universe myth of malfunctioning animatronics mistaking people for endos and shoving them in suits. Because M2 actually does do that mistakenly. Presumably mistakenly. After several teams are sent and die, we finally get to Arnold showing up and giving it his best shot. Need to have a drink and clear my throat. A few quick notes. For Arnold restores power to the facility, dispatch doesn't hear from him again. All the dispatch messages from then on are actually M1. I have no idea what the deal is with the moon in the basement, and I'm not even going to try to approach it. In the prototype Freddy's, there's a map of the FNAF 3 location, and I have absolutely no idea why. My only guess is that the FNAF 3 location was built inside an actual Freddy's, but also, so what? Why is this being told to us now, and what does that matter? Yeah, I just had a thought. That tells us that FNAF 3 actually happened. A lot of the first saga is written off as just, this isn't canon to the second saga. This confirms that the FNAF 3 location was real. The ending sequence of us trying to break into the FNAF 1 office while Fiona stops us by watching us on the cams is extremely cool. I don't actually have any notes on it, I just love the reverse FNAF setup and wanted to call it out as fucking awesome. And now for something people will find extremely controversial. I believe that David Murray, M2, is David Afton. This is something I wrote on the Game Theory subreddit like a week ago, so I'm just going to sum this up and leave a link to the actual post. The Stolen Throne Theory.
TLDR, I think Afton took Edwin's home as his own after Edwin died, and potentially took M2 as his own for study. During this is all extremely similar if not the same as what is known about the Afton house. Near Murray's costume manor, a large facility filled with inventions and animatronics animated helper system which can use a variety of voices including the voice of Dispatch Guy in SOTN. The Pizzaplex is likely built where the MCM used to be. It's literally on top of what seems to be the same pizzeria, on top of more caves and tunnels. The pizza sim location seems to be the same pizzeria underneath the Pizzaplex, and seemingly also the pizzeria underneath MCM. Afton has taken what Murray's father built, his whole Disneyish empire. Extra credit theory, David Murray and David Afton are the same closet does match FNAF 4's 3D bedroom, as well as the version in SP. There are star ornaments on the walls, and their ceiling lights are also very similar in design. The Immortal and the Restless. A purple man telling his presumed wife that a baby isn't his, despite that it mimics what he does. Really have the same name. Often killing kids to try to make M2 work again, which would also mean Robot Kid in the box. It would be really funny if MacPat was right all along about Robot Kids, and also FNAF 4 would be much funnier if Mike was bullying a robot LOL.
And that is my dissection of Secret of the Mimic. I'm happy to be wrong about stuff, but I am very confident about this. This is my first time making a video in this style, so let me know what you think. And if Game Theory reacts to this, hi Ash. This is the ending sequence. I don't know what to say here. Like and subscribe, bloody.